I've got the latest fashion painter shirt on. You can get them on Target. Splosh paints all over them. Makes you look like an artist. Women are now demanding in Australia equal opportunity to fight fires as men are. They say you can't go to a fire anymore. You can't rush out in emergency to fight a fire unless you have the equal amount of women and men in the fire brigade, because everyone should be equal. And women demand to do the equal share of the firefighting to the men, which is only fair. Then they're going to demand to do the equal share of the bricklaying, concreting, mechanic working and tyre fitting, because this is where it's come to. The women are now waking up to the fact they can't really be seen as equal in physically, equal legally. Yes, we treat them equally, and actually most men treat women better than equally, actually, except feminists. You can no longer treat them. You've got to avoid them, so you can't treat feminists as equal. You just avoid them, so you have nothing to do with them, because there's got a bee in a bonnet, a chip in the shoulder, and then knickers in a knot. What's ever wrong with feminists? There's something deeply, seriously wrong with the people. Another point about this gender thing, destroying the gender. Now, every culture in the world, wherever you go, all cultures are built on man and woman. No culture, biological, organic culture, right down to the most basic level, except the things that are asexual. But everything that has a sex life, as a culture, based on male and female. Ants, bees, earwigs, everything, mice, rats, all have a culture, organic culture, based on gender difference. Was one has a baby and the other one doesn't have a baby. It's simple. The one that has a baby stays home and gets pregnant and looks after the baby and feeds it and nurtures it. Men have not got breasts yet. No matter how many transgender women try to be women, when it comes to feeding a baby with the breast, they fail. Then suckling a baby on a breast from a transgender woman has not yet worked. There are people suggesting there should be operations for transgender men or transgender women so they can maybe get mammalian glands and feed to babies. And there's transgender women who haven't got a penis yet but want to have made a penis and testicles so they can make a baby. Because, anyway, that's beside the point. But that's where it's getting to. They're making demands on society that are biologically wrong. Culture is based on biology. It's not based on politics or someone's preference for what is or isn't. It's based on nature. Nature itself has determined the culture of men and women, not men. Men didn't set off millions of years ago, or 500,000 years ago. Or males did not set off whenever they started as a primate in the jungle, which you can see them now. You go to the jungles in Africa and see chimps and all that, and baboons, whatever. You've got a male there and females. And that goes right up the primate line to humans. Now, every culture, Chinese, Indians, Muslims in particular, all people you go through throughout the world, all have a culture. Oh, we've got to respect other people's cultures. Which is all cultures are based on men and women. So therefore, you respect all the cultures except white culture. Well, besides, if a man goes and fights fire, a bunch of blokes go and fight a fire without women present, then they're going to get attacked by the feminists and saying, oh, well, they'll go home and beat up their wives after they've been fighting fire. No, they want to go home, have a beer, collapse in the fucking front of a chair after having a shower. Might not even get a shower yet because they've been fighting a fire for hours on end and they're absolutely exhausted. And probably, and more than likely, these guys who are fighting fires have got very, very decent women. That has a male-woman culture, normal, natural culture, which is male-woman. That's what they're part of. These firefighters, they're not feminists, are they? Fighting fire. Don't get a band of feminists going up there trying to save the bush. No, they just whinge a lot about men fighting fires and men being men. When it says What law can be made that says a man can't be a man? It's impossible. It goes against not just it goes against common sense. In fact, it's mad. We have to declare feminists as insane because maybe they've got a psychological problem about a man being a man, and I think it's more than that. I think they're jealous of their women, of the men. Yes, there's domestic violence, and it's a very bad thing. Domestic violence is a horrendously terrible thing to happen. It's abhorrent. It happens, but that doesn't take away from the fact that most men are decent men. I don't know how many percentage of men are actually hitting women. I have no idea. It's not very many. It's not very in all the whole thing. It's not that many. It's more than it should be, but it's not very many. So therefore, most men are decent and treat their women decently. And most households are dominated by the women. And I think the problem with feminists, they don't know any decent men. They have no idea what a decent man feels like or is like. A normal decent man who does a normal day's work and goes and fights fires or blaze bricks or does concreting. They're not coming home after doing all that hard work and bashing their women. And that toxic masculinity is what fights fires, because that masculinity is what says, I've got to protect. Men protect naturally. And if women want to be equal, these feminists want to be equal, and I don't want women getting burnt in the bush. It's a man's job to go and risk his life like that. That's history. That's how the world's been developed for thousands and thousands of years. Not by sending women to the front to be killed, because you protect your genetic product. But the feminists aren't actually genetic product, are they? They're not your breeding potential. So where do we have to protect a feminist house if a fire's coming their way? Maybe we don't. You find out in the area if a bushfire is going for any feminists in the area. Yes, well, sorry, you have to get women to fight your fire for you. You have to get feminist fire brigade to come up and defend your house, because you don't want toxic men swearing and carrying on, trying to put the fire out before it comes and burns your house down if you're a feminist. That would be most offensive to you. You couldn't have all them big beefy men sweating profusely and swearing like mad. F this, F that, foot the fire and all that stuff. Good God and all that. And that would be toxic masculinity. We're offending these feminists just as their house was going to burn down. So rather, it's a really philosophical question. Should feminists say, oh no, I'd rather have my house burned down than a bunch of men stop it burning? I mean, what are they saying? In other words, they're just prattling on, because I don't think they've got enough to occupy themselves like a man to cook for and clean for and stuff like that. And if that's offensive, so what? I don't care, because all the other cultures in the world, they have that. They're privileged cultures. All the other, it's not white privilege anymore. It's black privilege and Muslim privilege and Hindu privilege. They're privileged, those people. They've got it all worked out, gender difference, and they respect each other for it. And their culture's based on that. Though it's not white privilege anymore. White privilege, destroying the genders, is destroying every privilege of being a human, never mind being white. So feminists want their houses protected in a fire. They maybe get a feminist fire brigade going, and a feminist army and a feminist whatever, because these people are starting to sound like they've got screws loose. If you can't have an opinion,